Hey, Verl Workman here. Today it's Big V and we're talking teams. So what's going on in the real estate market? I mean, really, what's happening? People ask that all the time. What is going on in the real estate market? And here's what I can tell you. A lot. Now, whether or not you're as busy as you want to be, that doesn't mean people aren't still buying and selling houses. Right now in the real estate market, there's this unbelievable, unprecedented, weird stuff happening. It looks like this. Right now we have a maximum amount of buyers that are looking for properties in the real estate. There are millions of more buyers in the real estate market than there are actual active listings. The problem is that people that live in their current homes don't want to move out because they have low interest rates, sometimes in the low 2%. So sellers aren't selling because they are afraid to buy into a new home. Buyers want to buy, but they can't buy because sellers aren't selling. And so there's this weird dreadlock or deadlock in the middle of real estate transactions. So what's going to happen to the real estate market? I follow trends in companies like NAR Statistics. Also, Keeping Current Matters is one of my favorite. In a recent Zillow article, it gave these specific numbers, and I want to share them with you exact. It says home values are projected to grow by 5.5% over the next year, which is much slower than the 16.9% that it's been since 2021. Zillow also predicts that home values will increase by 3.5% in 2023, 3.4% in 2024, and 3.3% in 2025, and continue in that same vein all the way through 2026. So here's what we know. We know that there's going to be decreased pressure on the housing market as the builders continue to build. As we get more and more inventory going in the ground, it creates more opportunities for the buyers that are out there. It also lets us know that we're going to have to work harder over the next few years to make the same dollars that we've had to make in the past. So let me define to you the difference between a buyer's market, a seller's market, and a balanced market. Most real estate agents that have been in business since 2010 don't even know what it's like to be in a balanced market. So here's what a buyer's market is. A buyer's market can be identified when there is so many houses on the market that the buyer has multiple choices. And so it gives them the ability to be more aggressive when they make offers, because if they say no, we got so many other options to choose from. A seller's market is when there's limited inventory and a whole bunch of buyers, and when they put their house on the market, they get multiple offers coming in that allows the seller to maximize the amount of income or the amount they sell their house for. That would be defined as a seller's market. A balanced market is a good market. It's where there's neither a mass advantage to the buyer or a mass advantage to the seller, but they can come to terms with right priced homes that have the right price, the right condition, and the right location, and attractive rates. Things that affect buyers and sellers markets are interest rates, lack of inventory, things that are happening globally, all affect what's going on in the marketplace. So we pay attention to all of those things. But here's what I know. I know that people move because of life events that occur, and that whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a balanced market, there's a certain number of homes that will always sell. We call that the river of real estate. I remember, this was probably 10 years ago, my son had just got his Eagle Scout and I wanted to take him on a great trip. So we went to Alaska, and we get to Alaska and I spoke to an association of realtors up there. It was phenomenal. I spoke for an hour and then we fished for 9 days. How great is that trip? So the next morning we got up and we went to a place called the Russian River. Now the Russian River is beautiful. I can't even describe to you how beautiful this is. But we did this thing that I'd never heard of before called combat fishing. It's when you stand shoulder to shoulder with all these people on the banks of the Russian River, and you do this special thing called the kenai flip. And the kenai flip means that you have to catch the fish in its mouth and the fish aren't biting. So what you do is you flip your fly out, you drag it down, and then you hook it back. And hopefully you hook them in the mouth because the fish are there getting air. You can see the thousands of fish in the water, and there's people shoulder to shoulder on both sides of the river doing the kenai flip. Now, I called it combat fishing because I felt like I was in combat, and I've got my 12-year-old son. We're doing flips. He's crossing lines. You catch people's fish. It was just a nightmare. And I sat there thinking, why? I don't even like this. So I was talking to a lady I'd met the previous day who was actually a Remax agent named Brenda, and Brenda said that her title rep was also a fishing guide. I thought, well, that's a great idea. Let's go with a fishing guide. So the very next day, he picked us up early in the morning. We've got all of our stuff in his, I think it was a Bronco. And then he went through a couple of private gates and he went up the river. And all of a sudden we're on the same river and we see all these fish, but there's nobody fishing next to us. What a beautiful thing. We sat there, just my son and I and our guide, doing the kenai flip, catching fish after fish after fish. We're in the same river, but we chose to fish away from everybody else. So we weren't fishing in a combat zone. That's what the river of real estate means to me. We know that there's lots of of fish that are always going to be swimming. The river of real estate continues to flow. People move because they get married or they get divorced. They upsize or they downsize. They get relocated. They get a new job. They lose their job. They have to downsize because their kids have all moved out. They've got to upsize because their family is growing. Whatever it is that's happening in your life that causes a life event to occur, that's what spurs real estate. That's why this river of real estate always has fish in it. As real estate agents, it's our job, it's our responsibility to find the spot and to fish away from where everybody else is fishing, to go upstream. How many of you wish you could just go upstream? How many of you wish you could stop fishing for the same people in the same pond? I'll tell you that the first thing that we do is we work our sphere of influence. We work our database, because your friends and your relationships are in your own private pond. And if you continue to nurture those relationships, you serve regardless of opportunity, you stay in touch with them, and you stay at the front of their mind, the moment that life event happens, they always think of you first. But you've got to be intentional about it. Otherwise, you're like everybody else, combat fishing. And I think that that's a hard way to make a living in this real estate business. So how do you know when the market is shifting? You know it when you're in it. Most people, they don't make any adjustments. They don't go upstream. They don't hire a guide until after it's too late and they're almost out of business. They're considering getting a job. What we did is we had okay day combat fishing, but I knew that I didn't want to do that 2 days in a row, so I hired a guide. Is it time maybe that you hired a guide to help you identify how to get upstream, to get away from where everybody else is fishing so that you can have greater opportunities there? Here's what I'd like to give all of you. We created a program in our shift modules called the River of Real Estate. The River of Real Estate uses Harvard data and other statistical data to talk about what's going on in the marketplace. We include several links so you can see how much real estate is happening in every single market and what the opportunity exists. Once you understand the opportunity that exists there, you can choose whether or not you're going to engage. By the way, if you're standing on the side of the river and you're not even throwing your line in, how many fish do you think you're going to catch? You see, most people just do what's called wish marketing, and that's where they show up and they really wish people would call them to buy and sell a house. Well, wish marketing doesn't work. You got to tie your fly on, you got to look what they're biting on, and then you got to get in that place in the river where not everybody else is trying to catch fish, and you got to present it in a way that's so compelling that they have to eat it. That's what it means to fish upstream. I challenge you to get out of the combat fishing of real estate, to head upstream in the river of real estate that continues to flow in your marketplace. And if you don't know where that is, let's get you a guide, let's get you a coach, let's get you someone who's been in these waters many, many times before and can take you exactly where you need to go to get to the next level. I'd like to give you a copy of the River of Real Estate. Just click on the link below, just download it, read the story, read the script and the dialogue, and then go through and use the messaging as you're talking to your clients in your database. There's tremendous opportunity at every market. The market has been shifting for a while. Are you shifting with it?